So Bishop inspired you to preach? Or did Bishop have any major role with
Bishop
that?
has had influence.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say he did. And Bishop had influence in more ways than just saying, you're going to preach.
Right.
I have to say that I don't remember growing up a lot of affirmation. Now, I won't say that I was abused. I can't say that I was abused in the way he was abused.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the lack of affirmation can be just, it is a form of abuse and can be just as powerful. So the real affirmation in my life only came after we were married.
Right.
And he was constantly pushing, you can do this, you can do that. It was not necessarily about preaching, but just about doing.
Right.
And he made the statement to me one day, you're going to finish something. You're going to stop
Absolutely.
starting and not finishing.
Right.
And so that played a major role in my even going to school and finishing school. So when I acknowledged my call to ministry, which is not something that I was in a hurry to do, he already knew, but he was not going to force that on me. And because of his support for women in ministry, it was easy. It was no struggle as it related to that at all.
Now, you wrote a book.
I did.
Okay. Can you introduce to the viewers your book?
Sure. And the Women Came First is the title of the book.
Okay.
And it really came out of a Easter sunrise service and the message about the women who went to the tomb to complete the burial process for Jesus. And they got there and he wasn't there. And I preached it that morning, but it was more powerful than I ever expected it to be.
Okay.
And I knew at the end of that sermon that it was going to become a book. And I call it a defense for women in the ministry, but not that women really need to be defended as it relates to being called to ministry. Right. But it's not argumentative, but it really, at the same time that it promotes the idea, the concept of women in ministry, it also encourages women who are struggling with their call to ministry. And that's what the book is about.
Can I go back over what you said, that women don't need a defense for ministry? I disagree with you on that point. Women do need to be defended. They don't need to defend themselves. That's when it gets to be confrontational. It gets to be adversarial between the man and the woman in ministry. I think that the men have the responsibility to affirm legitimate calls to ministry in women just like we do in men. And then we need to defend her right to share in the blessings of the daughters of Zelophehad.
Okay.
The woman does not need to defend herself, because the moment she does, she becomes an adversary to her brothers. Her brothers see that as an offense or an assault on them. Brothers do need to be assaulted for having perpetuated and supported the chauvinistic culture in ministry and in life.
Right.
But I think it's always better, less confrontational, if a man defends the woman in ministry and then reaches out to give her her rightful place.
Right.
Moses had to give Zelophehad's daughters their place. The community, the society would not have done it. They wouldn't have given them their land. They wouldn't have allowed them to have their father's portion. But Moses, the wise lawgiver, said, give them their part.
Right.
And that was the end of the discussion. It was a man talking, and it was the leadership man. Oh yes, women do need defending. I defend them. I do not defend those that go out and do the fighting on their own. That's their fight. But if they do their homework, I get in the fight. I take care of fighting while they do the work.
very briefly, just want to recap. What advice can you give to single mothers who are raising children on their own, daughters, sons, that can inspire them to, raise their children in the right direction?
Well, first let me say that the average girl looks forward to the fairy tale wedding, the fairy tale family, and everybody just kind of lives happily ever after. But the reality of it is that does not always happen. And so the first advice I would give is to accept your life for what it is. You may not have had the man on the white horse or the knight on the white horse to come along and carry you off and marry you, and then you have your children. If you find yourself in the situation where you are a single parent, it is what it is. So now what you have to do is accept that and determine how you're going to make the best out of that situation. How will you move forward? And also to have a support system. You don't have to do it alone. Even married women with supportive husbands need help and support in raising their children. So certainly a single parent. And I would also say that maybe for those mothers or those women who are married, who are out there, to be a support to single mothers and understand that they're not, necessarily happy because their situation is what it is. But I do think that whatever your situation is, you have to learn first to be content where you are and then figure out how you're going to move forward and make it better.
To hear this interview in its entirety and all of our content, our interviews, some of our topics we talk about right here on the Jeff Brown Show, all you have to do is go subscribe to the show today. That's right, we're available on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and we also just launched our brand new YouTube channel. Listen, we appreciate all your love and support. This is the show that makes you laugh and think. So go subscribe today to the Jeff Brown Show.